good to know different textures. Like, you know, the more breaks you have, the more, you know, buildings you can build. So we were obviously in a situation when we brought it down for the saxophone, so I was going to suggest you want to know. So you're a pianist,
yeah.
Obviously. And no, I'm going somewhere because I don't remember. I think I read it somewhere, or maybe I had an advice, but it's certainly great because I decided to study what other instruments do at some point. Meaning I would take, you know, I would transcribe like some guitar accompanying stuff and try it on the bass. Or I would transcribe Johannesson solo and then bow it on the upright with a bow like a classical piece. So, you know, keyboard players do that stuff that's kind of like came from a guitar. So you can use one note to count. Starting with, you can think Count Basie who would play, you know, in this kind of case, he would just play like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let the cycle go by. Or you can use more like guitaristic approach with like. It works great on the piano.
Yeah, never thought of it that way.
Yeah, well, because it comes from a different instrument, you're probably dealing with what piano tradition has, but it's great to go research other instruments. I was going to Drummers Collective to study, you know, Caribbean hand percussion, and that gave me so many ideas, and that made me understand what they do in the group and how the rhythms are built and all that stuff. So that was just this suggestion. And when we played, you have a great touch, and you know it's really comfortable to play. What I'm remembering is, you know, I'm no time king or anything, and I knew very little about funk and R&B music. But then I had a great chance to talk to Larry Graham, and they played at Tramps a few times. They would come on the bus, you know. He's an old man, almost like, you know, tall and frail, but he comes alive on stage, you know. He's like a king of bass in a song, and, you know, his band is, it's just incredible. Like the show goes, and you don't remember that where an hour and a half went, because it's like one breath. And I asked him about funk. He said, well, you know, I come from a place where little known about it. It's loved. You know, when people hear it, people feel it, like Jim was saying. Some people just start, their body just starts going about what is the most important thing? He says, one. Funk is one. The most important thing is where you put one. So when we played, I noticed that sometimes he would play some hip, you know, fill in hip pickup, what it's called. And your one is in slightly different place, slightly back. So maybe you know, you can pay attention to that. Okay. I'm guilty of doing the same thing. Sometimes I'm doing something that I think really hip, and then I land, you know, I don't land on the spot where I'm supposed to. I fall down, but that's a good thing to be focused on. Yeah, it's good to listen to yourself as if you were sitting in the front row, you know. Try to develop that kind of thing, like this way you check yourself. How do I sound to myself? Am I playing, you know, is my one in the right place when I come back? And I think we started pulling back just a little bit in the process.
I thought that was Russian.
No, we were like, I don't know,
I couldn't tell. I didn't think so.
Well, I think we started pulling back just a little bit. And that's a natural thing, you know, you get tired or something. No, sometimes you get mentally tired from like playing the same thing. That's another training, you know. Like that popular joke among musicians when the guitarist who's in love with James Brown, he finally comes backstage to him and says, I'm in love with your music, Mr. Brown, and I would love to play with you if life ever presents me that chance. And James Brown supposedly says, well, can you play G7? He says, of course. He says, can you play G7 for 3 hours? it's a, you know. I remember seeing Maceo Parker Band for the first time, and it's full of incredible musicians who are, you know, they steeped in that James Brown tradition, but the guy who attracted me right away was Bruno Spite, the guitarist, because he would be playing the very same thing and so funky, and he was so into it, and he was so dedicated to it, and a lot of people played different things around him, and he would just stay there, like, one thing for 10 minutes. And I think, you know, even I started dancing to that.
And it really is, sometimes it's just the awareness of the time. We had a project, the Big Band project actually, in the Masters with Wayne Krantz. I don't know if you guys know this guitar player, but his timing is just absolutely ridiculous. Same thing with Michael Brecker, when he plays like double time, it just makes you cry. So, Wayne is even the next step further because he wouldn't play the double time, he will mute the notes in between. Just like the funk players. But he would even create melodies like that. So we had big band arrangements that the professor did, and we were preparing for this show at the Blue Note, blah, blah, blah. So we were playing, and we really rehearsed our parts well, we knew the music